iteration means repeating things. One way we can repeat the same statement many, many times is with a while statement. Okay, so a while statement is a compound statement that contains within its body something that we want to execute multiple times. Let me show you a demonstration. I start up Python, and I'm going to set the names I and total to both be 0. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up the numbers 1, 2, and 3 to get a total of 6 in the following way. I'll say while it's the case that I is less than 3, I will change I to be 1 more than it was before, and I will change total to be whatever total was plus whatever I is now. In a flash, we've actually done quite a bit of computation. Now it's the case that I is 3 and total is 6, which is what you get when you add 1, 2, and 3 together. How did that happen? Well, to understand exactly what happened, we need to look at the execution rule for a while statement. So here's the code that I typed in. Here's the execution rule. First thing we do when we have a compound while statement, which is this whole last 3 lines, is to evaluate the header's expression, I less than 3. If it's a true value, we execute the whole suite, both lines. Then, at the end, we return back to step 1, which means we evaluate the header's expression again. Okay, here we have true value, which means we must have a Boolean context. So George is going to watch that spot and see if I less than 3 evaluates to a true value or a false value each time we reach that line. We start at the top as always. After executing that assignment statement, we have a global frame where I and total are both bound to 0. Next, we execute the while statement, which means evaluating the header's expression. I is bound to 0, which is less than 3, so I less than 3 gives us a true value. George is happy, and we now execute the whole suite. I is bound to I plus 1, so now I is bound to the number 1. Remember, when we evaluated I plus 1, I was still 0, which is why we got the number 1, which is what we bound I to. And now, we bind total to whatever total is, that's 0, and I is, that's 1, and total is now 1. According to the execution rule, we now return to step 1 and evaluate the header expression again. Is I now less than 3? Yes, it is. George is still happy, so we execute the whole suite. I is now 2, and the total is whatever the total is now, 1, plus I is 2, is 3. So now total is bound to 3. We return to step 1, and we see if 2 is less than 3, which it is. If George is happy, we then execute the whole suite again. And here's the really important part. We first execute this assignment statement, I equals I plus 1. I is now 3. But we don't go back and check this because we haven't finished executing the whole suite yet. The next thing we do is execute the next line in the suite, updating total to be total 3 plus I, 3 is 6. And then we return to step 1. In step 1, we evaluate the header's expression and find that 3 is not less than 3. And so this is a false value. And so when we get to step 2, we're not going to execute the suite, and we're not going to return to step 1. We're just finished. And that's why I is bound to 3 and total is bound to 6 after we execute this while statement, which involved repeating the same body many, many times.